capture it. That's the main thing. So let's have a listen to some of the mics in isolation. So this is the D112 on the bass drum. So we're getting quite a bit of click from that. It's capturing some nice low end, but it's also capturing the beta head hitting that bass drum skin really well. This one we had on the outside. Now there was quite a bit of spill from this one, so I've basically EQ'd a lot of the top end out, and it's just giving us some real warm kind of low end. You'll need headphones on or to be listening with a decent pair of speakers to hear that. It'll probably just sound awful if you're listening on your phone. So the two blended work quite well. The 112 gives us lots of kick, click. The 47 clone gives us lots of nice low end depth. Let's just take the overheads out for a second and you can hear that in isolation. Now I have gated the drums on this. Sometimes, don't always gate drums, depends what we're working on. Sometimes I'll gate them, sometimes I won't. In this case I have. Let's have a listen to the snare. So this is the Audix i5 on the snare. Let's just skip back a bit in the track. So that with our bass drum. Okay, let's bring in the overheads. And last but not least, our tom mics. So that's it, 7 mics on the drum kit. Not particularly expensive microphones at all, but Roger was given a great performance. His kit sounded great, the room sounds great. That's your 3 most critical steps taken care of. So let's have a little quick look at what we did in post-production, so what we did in terms of mixing. Now on this I've used entirely Slate digital plugins because I love the Slate bundle. It's fantastic. I grew up on analog desks, and for me it's like using an analog desk. Everything's where I expect it to be, and most important of all is that the plugins just sound absolutely fantastic. So we did a very quick mix on this for this video, and I've just started off with some of the presets that Slate give you and just added a couple of bits and tweaked as we've gone along. So you can see we've got a gate on the kick drum there. EQ wise, I've got EQ going into compression, so a Neve style EQ going into a compressor, and then a little bit more EQ to undo what the compressor's done to the initial EQ. We've got quite a hefty boost at about 3.5k to bring out some of that click of the front head of the kick, and a slight boost at 58 hertz, so around 60 hertz. So a slight boost at 60 hertz and a bigger boost at about 3.5 to bring that click out, bring the top end of the kick out. And then I've kind of mirrored that pretty much on the SSL black EQ. We've got a boost at around 55 hertz. I've boosted 4.5 a little bit, again to bring out a bit more of that click after the compressor's done its thing. Compressor's working quite hard on that, as you can see. And then we've just got the thickness on the Revival plugin from Slate, which is a great plugin. Let's just go back again. In fact, let me just stick it on loop and then it'll keep going round on it. So let's go back to the beginning. So on the microphone on the outside of the kick, I've done absolutely nothing. Just left it as it is. There we go. On the snare, what have we got on the snare? So I've started again with one of the snare presets because it gives you a good starting point. It loads the EQ I always want, it loads the compressor I always want, and it gets me roughly in the ballpark for a snare sound. Again, I've added the gate into the chain, so the gate is the first thing that's going on there, and I'm just gonna, let's just take some of the other stuff out and we'll just bypass everything so you can hear what it's doing. So without the gate, you can hear there's quite a bit of hi-hat spill there, so that's with the gate in. And then EQ wise, I've got a boost at 3.2 kilohertz. I've got a slight boost at just under 100 hertz on the low end just to bring some of that nice warm low end out of the snare. Let's bypass the EQ. It just sounds a bit duller, a bit lifeless. EQ back in, it brings out the snap, it brings out the body. Compressor's hardly doing anything. It's taking about a dB off at the top, so I'm not really compressing the snare at all. And we've got a bit of the shimmer and a bit of the thickness on the slate plugin. That's that. Let's bring everything else back in again.